Because you always use that active red light defenders. I think it's like. Because you always use that active red light defenders. I think it's like. Because you always use that active red light defenders. I think it's like.
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian. Man. Come on, Ian. People deluded. I'm back again. Unfortunately, yesterday we lost. We got hammered by the Hammers. We got ironed by the Hammers. We got dealt with, innit? Simple as that. David Moyes finally gets an away win against Arsenal. I don't know why West Ham are onto us so much. Obviously, they beat us in the League Cup. They've they didn't ruin Christmas, but they've kind of ruined something yesterday. Bro, the hottest loves have the coldest ends. West Ham allow us. Get over it. We signed Declan Rice. Allow it, bro. Weird game. And big up Dan Potts, because you lots would have seen. Check that video out if you haven't. We were speaking vaguely about West Ham Arsenal. We was talking about Arsenal in general. And I asked him a question in that sentiment about fine margins. I think if Arsenal are looking to fight for a league, listen, you can forget the league title. That's everything I said yesterday. Big up Arsenal. Keep fighting, doing them things. I'm really enticed by the journey we're on and what Arteta is doing, considering when he walked into the club to what he's doing now. But if I remove all of that, and I look at title contenders, as I was saying, fine margins. We're at that stage now where fine margins are the most important. In what we've lost 3 times, we've been the best team in all 3 of those games. But I don't care about that. David Moyes grabbed 3 points. Eddie Howe got 3 points. Unai Emery got 3 points. There's definitely been occasions in the last 18 months where we haven't necessarily been the best team and we've got 3 points. That's how football is. Sometimes you deserve everything. You get nothing. Sometimes you don't deserve a point. You grab a point. Sometimes you deserve to win and lose, etc., etc. The fine margins. It's not good enough to be the more dominant team. Have all of these touches in the box. Have all this possession. Be on the front foot. As I said, there's a lot of things I like about how we play football. Smash the like button and join the discussion. But at the end of the day, football's decided in both boxes. I would say we've turned somewhat of a corner in terms of creating chances versus at the start of the season, but we're still unable to put the ball in the back of the net, really and truly. And we've not been defending well to the standards that we've set last season. Luton still sticks fresh in the mind. The 2 goals we conceded was silly. I think it was a street smart performance from West Ham. Yeah, we can sit here and say, oh, we're the better team and all of this stuff. It don't matter. David Moyes got 3 points. He ruined United. He ruined Arsenal. I personally think when you watch the game again or you look at West Ham, they knew they were coming to Arsenal after a courageous point at Anfield, us catting out for 3 points. They knew we were going to start well at home. They knew we was going to play football. David Moyes been around the block, old school Scottish man. What do you think he's going to say out there, lads? Rigid, which you saw. They kept their shape. They didn't give us too much space, even though we created stuff and a bunch of chances. They were rigid defensively. They remained penned in. They weathered the storm, and the 2 opportunities Arsenal gave them, they made the difference. I told you Souček would bag. He bagged. Obviously, Declan Rice. Relax, you saved yourself. David Raya, big up to him. You did all right against Liverpool and you saved the penalty. And obviously the goal Souček scored, bro, I'm not here for the VAR thing, innit? Like, whether the ball went out or not, we can have a discussion about that. I personally think it went out. I'm not here for that, innit? Because regardless of that, we did enough or created enough to we should have put the ball in the back of the net. Me personally, that's what I believe. And that's it. That's where it starts and stops. Man, I can't keep crying about VAR I'm not saying it's right, but like against Villa, like against Newcastle, like Brentford last season. I'm not saying it's right, but if you're honest with yourself, and again, football is about coping. I think it's very simple to just say, oh, without that VAR, it's a different game. Be honest with yourself. That's a 1-2 minute flashpoint early on in the game against the run of play, which Benjamin White, Zinchenko, the whole team has not done well enough. What have we done in the other 90 minutes? We need to start getting these fine margins. As I was saying, I think at the start of the season, we were we were scoring goals, but we weren't really there. Like, we weren't creating and doing all of those things. But defensively, we're fairly solid. In recent weeks, I think we've dropped our standards defensively. And I also feel like, you know, we've started to create, but at the end of the day, goals win games. And, you know, you look at the Sheffield United game where we won 5-0, took a while for them goals to go in. It probably should have been, you know, 2-0 against Brighton. It should have been a lot more than that. We need to start defending a lot better and scoring goals. And this is what I said in August, in that I won't be surprised if Martinelli and Odegaard, them two in particular, if they get double figures. And I won't be surprised if they haven't. They're very volatile. Odegaard is a quality player. You don't mention him for goal scoring. You know, Martinelli is learning how to do that. You know, he hasn't been doing that this year. Saka's been ticking along, but if Saka's not bagging or assisting, we're in trouble. I love Gabriel Jesus, but he's not a killer in front of goal. He's not interested. You know, he's Brazilian. He's wavy. I love the guy. We need to keep him at the club, but he cute flicks, pulling out to the left-hand channel. He's not there, and I'm being a bit harsh to Jesus, but that header should have went in. How many, for all the possession and stuff, how many clear-cut chances did we have? We had a couple. Jesus definitely had a couple. Maybe even Martinelli and Saka and that. I can't remember, but at the end of the day, they put the ball in the back of the net. Zinchenko is Zinchenko, in it. And as I always say, it's about acceptance. I accept the guy for what he is. You know, I don't really see the quality when you invert to kind of allow you for your defensive mishaps, but your food, your lunch meat, everybody looks at you. Whether Arsenal's strongest team available at this moment with injuries is one thing, or our strongest team, and let's just assume, you know, everybody's fit, we name our strongest 11 and you put Zinchenko in there, every manager is going to say, you know what, Zinchenko, Saliba, Gabriel, White, we can't really get too much. Zinchenko, baby food. He's going to leave space. We're going to get him. And it's at that point now of accepting. I said it in the last stream, like, accepting, man, for what they are. Zinchenko, we're not going to wake up and you're great 1v1 defensively. You're spot on. So it's got to the point now where I'm looking at the manager, because there is no other plan. Yeah, Kirio, but even he's Banduli. And we have had injuries, but the manager assembled this, really. We're not going to get out the hood with Gabriel Jesus not scoring goals and Zinchenko not being solid defensively. They can be utilised in the squad. They can be used, but they're not going to get us to where we need to go. Goals win games. Now, I still believe central midfield, centre-half, they need to be addressed in January. We're going to live or die by a striker. And indirectly, you know, as I said, when you look at Arsenal and our trajectory, got a lot of time for it. Love what we're doing. Love what the gaffer's doing. Love the players and all of that. But if we're looking at winning the league, we don't understand, or to me as a fan, I think the players do, but I don't think we understand why fine margins have to go your way. I think ultimately the squad we've assembled, you know, we haven't got enough tools in our toolbox, essentially. Midfield is brazy. Games like this, you kind of want, we miss Havertz. Big up Havertz, and, you know, you've done well in the last few weeks. But I'm trying to be respectful. The very fact that I've said we miss Havertz, that tells you where we're at. We haven't got enough up front. That a cold-hearted killer. We don't have enough in defense. We don't have a left back for Zinchenko not to play. These are the things that are going to harm us. And for me as well, I genuinely believe, you know, again, I'm not saying this to say Arsenal are the biggest and baddest in the league and things, but 3 losses in December, it's not the worst. And in those losses, I don't think we've been the worst team. But that actually aids to my point of what I'm saying. Sorry, I got thrown off. I started thinking about Zinchenko. Sorry, people. What I've been saying is that I think we're our own worst enemies. We showed it with how we've assembled the depth in this squad last season, and actually the 2 years before, as to why our season didn't go where we needed to go. We make things harder than ourselves. The first goal is against the run of play. You know, West Ham have physical and tall players and whatnot. They're going to make something happen from set pieces, which they did with Mavropanos. I know we do zonal marking and that, but even the run from Mavropanos, it's a free run. Like, my man's 6 foot odd, really and truly. Like, we're creating our own issues, really. And again, this season we're gonna have to live or die by that. Fortunately, you know, we've been winning games when you need to win. Not really of recent, but so we've got a certain floor. All we can do is keep going against Fulham. The games aren't any easier, and I've been really disappointed against, like, for me, generally this season, against the top 6 sides, or sides that no one wants to play against, or sides that are in a rich run of form. And what I mean by that is, in fact, even London derbies, we've been a bit shaky, if I'm completely honest, specifically at home. Spurs, our City, cool, we won the game, and it is what it is. United, I think there was concerns, but we won the game. Spurs shot ourselves in the foot. Chelsea away, lucky to walk away with a point. It took us 77 minutes to wake up. Fulham at home, shot ourselves in the foot. West Ham in the League Cup, I'm not going to really harp on about the League Cup, shot ourselves in the foot. Yesterday, shot ourselves in the foot. Inability to score, inability to defend well. These are the things. Newcastle, I think we coped well, and I think we were the better team, but we did not win. It's about winning or losing. Again, context is key. When you win a game, I think you need to look at what's being said. And when you lose, you can't just do the misery thing. But in May, all we're going to do is sit there and see where we are in the table. How many games have Arsenal lost? won, drawn, whatever. I'm not going to sit there in May. Obviously, I probably will because we like to do the analytical videos. But generally, I'm not going to sit there and say, you know what? We lost against Villa, but that was a good loss. We lost against Newcastle, but that loss was better than that. Fundamentally, it's a results-driven business, and this is where the players need to take heed of this, really, because we're making issues for ourselves, man. It's too easy. If I'm honest, the attacking players, find your shooting boots, and if not, bro, Ian Wright, I heard you retired for match of the day. You've got free time, Ian Wright. You need to be doing an extra hour or half an hour after Mikel Arteta's training session with the lads. Thierry Henry, you're a France under-21 manager. You got bare free time. Go and work with them. Dennis Bergkamp, there was rumours you was arriving. In terms of decision-making, go and work with them because, again, the players are not efficient or effective enough. You know, you play with fire, you get burnt. And that's what a street-smart West Ham side unfortunately did, man. You know, for me, I do think we should have scored. I'm a bit bewildered as to how we didn't bag in that game in Aston Villa. But fundamentally, how many quality chances? How many times yesterday? I know Saka had a header, Jesus had a header. How many times yesterday did we sit there and go, raw, like Areola had to do a madness there, really and truly. And this is why I say it's a lie in that some fans will sit there and just say, we've got multiple goal scorers. There's goal scorers all around the field. We don't need a striker. We don't need this. You're not wrong. We need goals to be spread out. But who is a proven goal scorer in this team? Saka is learning to do that. And if anybody in this team, I feel like a broken record. I've definitely said this before. If anybody is a proven goal scorer in this Arsenal team, it is that man, Bukayo Saka, because he's done it the last few years. Saka, I will say, you need to go back to church. You need to get rid of that hair. I don't know what girls you're messing with now, what friends you're hanging around with, but Saka, please dye your hair back to black. Just keep it icy free. Do what you need to do because you've changed your hair. You've been moving like Marcus Rashford. It's as simple as that. Martinelli, bro, you need to, I don't know what you need to do, but you need to start scoring. Jesus, a bit like Zinchenko, I accept you for what you are. But yeah, I think there's a lack of quality chances, but we still had more than enough to not at the very least allow them to keep a clean sheet. As I said, football's decided in both boxes. The two goals, horrible defending, you know, set pieces, we need to go back to town. We know West Ham are a street smart side, and you played with fire, you got burnt, people. We need a forward as soon as possible, man. Like, again, I still think the priorities are centre mid and obviously defense, but goals win games. I'm not saying we sign a striker and moments like that don't happen, but we need a man that it's almost impossible, can get 2 half chances and get 2 goals. Jesus can't do that. Jesus is an enigma. The hard chances he makes look easy. The easy chances, which 9 times out of 10 across a season, that's how you get 20, 30 goals. It's hella tap-ins and that. The easy chances he makes look very difficult, man. So it's crazy, man. It's absolutely crazy. And I think Ivan Toney's stocks probably would have went up a lot, really and truly. But what more can you say, essentially, man? It doesn't matter if we were good for 90 minutes, if we haven't scored or kept a clean sheet or taken our chances. It doesn't matter if Saliba, Gabriel, excluding the penalty, Declan Rice, you know, if they're a class above their teammates. There's 11 players out there, bro. If 3 players are play to an amazing standard over 90 minutes, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to win. Big up Raya as well, because the 2 goals you conceded, I don't think you deserve to concede that. Obviously, you saved the penalty, and you weren't a talking point after Liverpool. So I won't say you're turning the corner, but in terms of talking points, Arsenal fans can leave David Raya alone, if I'm honest. It would have only taken 1 goal as well. Floodgates would have opened, Andrew. And that's the thing. Like, listen, I think the boys are trying. I think they know they need to score, but they're not. You just can't do it. Martinelli needs some eye implants in the top of his head. Everyone knows Arsenal need a striker, so as a result, the price for Tony will be overinflated. So yes, it'll be overinflated anyways, because Brentford, if I'm Brentford, I'm sitting there and saying, listen, Tony, I'm not being funny. Many teams, when you got that betting thing, they would have just rubbed their hands off with you, really, and just dashed you to the side. We stood by you. You owe us a bit. Obviously, it's a Euro season. You haven't played a lot of football. Yeah, you're a Premier League proven player and all of that stuff, but you know, if you're looking at players that are going to go off and play for England, unless Marcus Rashford and Sterling go, which their form's not been amazing, but Southgate counts them as strikers. You know Harry Kane is going. Assuming them 3 names go, there's 1 striker position left. Obviously, Ivan Toney's, the Callum Wilsons, Eddie, Ollie Watkins, all of these guys are probably fighting for that. You know, if you're Thomas Frank, you're sitting there saying, my guy, I understand going Arsenal could get you more of a look in the Southgate team, but stay here. You know how things work. You haven't been playing really and truly. Stay with us. Give us a couple of months and you can F off in the summer if that's what you want to do. And if you're Brentford, you're probably looking for a striker anyways, because Embuemo was going to go after AFCON. Now he's obviously got injured. Weiss is going off. And you know at some point, Ivan Toney is going to leave. You know, Brentford find good strikers. They had Mupé once upon a time. He's Where is Mupay? I want to say Everton. I don't know where he is now. I always think Brighton. Ollie Watkins was once there. Obviously, Tony's there. Zinchenko should try midfield 100%. But like, it's not even Zinchenko was even mad for that goal. Like, mad for that goal. But it starts and stops with everybody. Ben White is doing a madness, stepped out of defense, and again it was against the run of play. They've kept it moving down the left-hand side. Zinchenko and Gabriel not quite sure what they're doing. Do I think the ball went out? 100%. But if I'm honest with you, we didn't have to give that ball away initially. And when the ball was in the box, I felt we could have dealt with it a lot better. All we can do is keep going. I think that was a professional performance from West Ham. They knew they're playing a team better than them. They knew they're playing a team that's going to dominate possession and be bullish. And they rid the storm. They walk away with 3 points. As I said, I don't think any of the L's we've had this season, we've played poorly, but fundamentally lost. In fact, it's the games that we've actually drawn that I'm more frustrated. As I said, Spurs, Fulham, Chelsea was one of the worst 45 minutes I've seen from our football club this season. Obviously, if you're including all comps, then yeah, we did lose against Lens and we did get smacked up against West Ham. It's the same old trick. And Arteta, you got to find a way against that. I'm not saying Kyrgios is the answer necessarily, and I know Zinchenko gives you whatever you want in midfield, but in terms of being strong guard or strong 1v1, Kyrgios got to be banging on the door. And I'm not saying Kyrgios is the answer because I don't necessarily, I like him, but I don't think it is because you didn't do nothing against Luton. You got terrorized against PSV. We're kind of damned if we do, damned if we don't. And if you're honest with yourself, you know, Arsenal don't just do things on a random. Obviously, January is a very reactive window. You're going to obviously, you know, have to cope with injuries. But we must have known when the summer window closed, the work to bringing in a central midfielder, maybe another defensive body, which probably not true because injuries have probably highlighted that. A striker and a winger is on the agenda. I think we need 3 signings now. Like, obviously, if Arsenal bring in a centre mid and a defender, I'll be like, cool. I would like a striker, cool. But I really now believe you need all 3. Well, I've been saying we need a striker, but I think you need to force the issue in January, which if you get Ivan Toney, cool, but that probably rules out Osimhen. Not that I think we have a chance for Osimhen because he's out here dropping panty and whatnot for Chelsea today. As the Hood Sky Sports, should we get Toney? I wouldn't be against it. Listen, Osimhen would be my first choice target. I would like Benjamin Sesko over there at Leipzig if he's available in the summer. But Ivan Toney between January and the summer could be a market opportunity. He's experienced, Premier League proven, England international. Obviously, he hasn't hid his admiration for Arsenal. You know, half of these strikers are on long-term contracts or whatnot. Like Osimhen's signed a new 1-year deal, but he's got a release clause, so he could do something there. Vlahovic, obviously, there's rumors he's 1 minute he's signing a new deal at Juventus and then he's not. So that's him. Ivan Toney's got 18 months left. We've heard Brentford sporting directors speak. We've heard Thomas Frank speak. It does feel like the beginning of the end. And indirectly, we know we've needed a striker long term. When we was trying to smash the like button, by the way, and big up the Twitch ones, when we was talking for David Raya, there must have just been a cheeky conversation. Ivan Toney isn't the answer. Osimhen and Neto in January or the summer. We're not getting no Osimhen in January, but we can hope. Absolutely disgusting play. Didn't deserve to win. Did not play like a team who want to win this league. Arteta changed the entire system this year, which killed our attack. He went from free-flowing to a control game, and his ego getting in the way of him changing it, unfortunately. I'm not saying you're wrong, but we have to adapt and evolve. And I do think elements of how we used to play are still there. And I do like the evolution that Arteta is installing. I do think we're at that stage now where Arteta's got to be a bit more flexible, as you're saying, but players have got to be a lot more street smart. You know, street smart just isn't, you know, street smart can be, okay, they've got Kudus out wide, let me drop. Or this is a topsy-turvy game. We need to score, or we need to manage the first 10 minutes, or I need to demand a bit more of our teammates. That is the case against Aston Villa. That is the case yesterday, in my opinion, against West Ham. Newcastle, a bit like to a degree West Ham, in that not really the same, but what have these keepers had to do, really? Emi Martinez was in the wars, but what have these keepers had to do? Goals win games. It doesn't matter who's out there. The players need to be street smart, whether they're young or they're experienced. All of you have played enough professional games. All of you lot have been in the professional game for a while now. All of you lot have played enough Premier League games to know, you know, you've got to stand 10 toes down and play for keeps, really. Nobody's giving you anything in this Premier League. And we know David Moyes is experienced. We know West Ham have a lot of quality. You know, Paqueta got injured. Hopefully he's all right. Bro, Mavropanos scoring. And I was even vexed. Mavropanos weren't even celebrating. Celebrate. We don't know you. You're not Arsenal like that. Once a Gooner, always a Gooner. Big up to you for sharing respect. But like, bro, man, don't know you. Celebrate properly. I don't want to celebrate against my old club. Who are you, bro? If it was Van Persie who defo did that and, you know, Balogun scores against us or someone, then all right, I'll accept that. Mavropanos, allow it, man. Don't do that. Man said Martinelli hype. The game's the game. I hope you're well, S, man. This loss woke me up at 4:30 this morning. Crazy. Jesus' comments have come back to bite him in the arse. He's hardly in the box to convert chances. You say that, but I don't think so, because showing self-awareness, bro. Jesus, I'm not going to say he's not interested in scoring, but there's a reason that you're held in high regard when you get called up to Brazil. Arsenal fans and Arteta love you, and Pep loves you, but you're described as a defensive forward. Like, I'm not being funny. How old is Gabriel Jesus? It's, again, I like him. I'm not saying sell him, but you have to start accepting people for what they are. Gabriel Jesus is 26 years of age, 27. This is when strikers start turning up. Wenger said 28 and whatnot. I don't know how many senior appearances in the game Jesus has played, you know, for Arsenal, City, Palmeiras, even in Brazil. But look at, like, bro, you're never going to become a goal scorer. You're not doing it now. You have, I genuinely believe strikers are born, and I don't think Jesus was born to score goals. I like him a lot. You know, his record for City isn't the best, but it isn't the worst. 95 goals in 236 appearances, 18 goals in 53 for Arsenal. His best is at Palmeiras, 21 goals in 54. He's got 72 Premier League goals, 72 Premier League goals in just shy of 199 Premier League games. He's been capped 64 times for Brazil, and actually his record for Brazil ain't that bad with 19 goals. If you're not a gunman now, you're never going to become a goal scorer. You're not born with that natural ink. You're not interested in being in the box. If we go back to August, and we all know, you know, Zinchenko loves talking. Didn't he say, like, sometimes I tell Jesus, score, like, just stay in the box. Jesus saying, I'm not going to say a man's not interested in scoring goals because he's got the celebration, but you're not interested in scoring goals, really. So let's just accept the man for what he is. You're a good player. You get plenty of football. You're in our strongest lineup. Sign a certified striker who isn't necessarily interested in, obviously they have to do the general play and all of that jazz, but find someone that is on just putting the ball in the back of the net, people. Simple stuff. Recall Tierney, enough's enough. If I'm Tierney, I'm not coming back. I'm not coming back, because once Timber's not probably going to play this season, but you've got Kirill, you've got Tomiyasu, Zini's going to play ahead of you regardless. You might as well stay over there in Spain. I would have loved to have kept Tierney. I think the club did try and get Tierney moved on permanently. I do think Arteta would have loved to have kept him for the squad for situations like this, but rightly so, Tierney probably said, you know what, Gaffer, I love what you've done. I love my time here. I need to keep it moving. Speaking of the manager, what are you saying here? I think we need a more experienced manager if we're going to start winning trophies, not even digging out Arteta per se. And that's the key for Arteta. You have shown that you can turn this club around. You can find philosophies. You can develop players. Are you the man to get us over the line and win a Prem? And I'm not even watching Champions League because we can't be talking about that at this moment in time. That is the debate. And that's something he's going to have to do now, really and truly. Once again, Arsenal proved how terrible they are. If we don't step into the transfer market to make top quality signings, then we're not going to win anything. Amen. We need a striker. We probs most won't get one. For me, a party replacement is needed just as much. Or how much is it down to Arteta's tactics? We need a centre mid. If it was up to me, I don't think we're going to get 2 centre mids, but for me, I think we need another 6, another 8. You said striker, I agree. I think a winger wouldn't go amiss. And another defensive, I know I've said centre mid. We need to look for a number 2 goalie if Ramsdale's going to bust out. And I think we need to find another defensive option, really and truly. It'd be lovely if you could find a fullback that could play left or right back. If you could find someone like Timber and Tomiyasu who can play centre half and either side of the fullback's great. We probably need a centre back more than anything right now, but I must admit, and it's more of the last few games, and it's not necessarily right, and it is a bit emotional. And I'm not saying to sell Zinchenko, but maybe that's why I'm not involved in transfers. I'd probably lean towards a left back, man. It's not even that. It's the bad habits are going to cost us. And it's not, listen, and I don't want to make this a Zinchenko show, because anyone who's just saying Zinchenko is the issue and as to why we didn't win, I'm sorry, but I think you're an idiot. There's 11 players out there. There's 10 other players. There's 90 minutes. What player yesterday could say they couldn't have done more? What attacking player? There is a couple. David Raya, can't ask anything more from you. Declan Rice, honestly, I'm seeing you on the ball way too much. You know, Odegaard, you're going through the motions. Who else was playing in midfield? Trossard, you kind of hear. Declan Rice, he's a decent player, very good player. Love the guy, but he's not been bought to do, well, he's not able to do that dictating play thing, which Partey's probably a bit better at punching the passes, Jorginho as well. I'm seeing Declan Rice on the ball too much. So where's the guys that are paid to do that? Can't ask anything more from you, Declan. Saliba and Gabriel, probably in the moment of the goals being conceded. And if I watch the goal we conceded for Mavropanos, several players probably could have done better for when we gave away the corner, let alone obviously what ultimately led to our demise. But yeah, man, like no one can say they're doing a madness. And the squad isn't You know, when a couple of players are not in a purple patch of form, when the normal star boys are not doing star boy stuff, you know, when there's a couple injuries and players are not there, we're in big trouble, really and truly. Big trouble. As much as Partey is not reliable, we have to wait till he comes back and hope Arteta can get the best out of Smith Rowe and Vieira. I agree we need to address our midfield, but you don't want to play Smith Rowe, really. Give him a little man minutes. You don't really want to play him. I'm tired of looking at the top goal scorers list and then asking players nowhere near the top of the list. And this is what I mean by, yeah, the goals are spread out. I like that. But when you look beyond that, there is a bit of concern because there's not a single player you can bet on in that team and say, yeah, whatever the weather, you're going to score goals like we have with Aubameyang, like you see with Mohamed Salah, historically Harry Kane, obviously Haaland's an anomaly, but Haaland, and there's a couple of other players that I'm sure I've missed out. We ain't got that. Our top goal scorer is Eddie Nketiah, and he's on the periphery of things. That tells you everything. And I think he's even got 5 Prem goals. 3 of them come in one match. I'm not even buying him. This is the reality of it. 38 Premier League games. Who's going to get 20, close to 30? Goals win games. Goals turn a couple defeats into draws, couple draws into victories. Ultimately, that's more points on the board. I don't know, man. Saka isolated, but this is the thing. If he's isolated, find something to do with it, you know. Salah was, you could say people double up against Salah all the time. He finds a way, obviously because of his ability, he finds a way to make it happen. Klopp finds a way to make it happen. Find a way to make it happen, really and truly. Make sure we haven't just got one danger man. Everybody's doing it because I love the way we play football. You know, even yesterday there were some good moments. Jesus does his thing and whatnot. But when the going gets tough and we need to roll our sleeves up, I do think we've got mentality. But there's no one you truly believe in is going to bag. Right. Ben White caught out watching Anil stepping out of defensive position like it's become a trend for him this season. I would not be surprised if I hear any FFP excuses in this window, same way how Wenger used to run the Emirates excuse. Lau Wenger, my father Wenger was right still. I would have brought on Ethan because at that point, what have we got to lose? I'm always sober, man. Like, I'm still angry, man. That was just tears from the heart. If we have FFP issues because we spent poorly and didn't sell well, that's on Arteta and Eddie. Exactly. Really, any successes or failures are down to them two now because money's been spent. You know, Emre was the head coach. You are the manager. You are getting to sign whoever you want and being given the reign to, rightly so, make difficult decisions. And I think you've been proven right. You know, Ramsdale, not everyone was convinced. You have faults, but you're doing all right. Benjamin White, you've done better than what people projected. Kai Havertz, you're doing okay. You know, these things. So with great power comes great responsibility. And now it's not a fairy tale thing for Arsenal anymore. We're still on this path. And as I said at the start, I love the journey that we've undertaken at this football club and where we're going. But it's now moving to, we need to stop looking at the premise of I always say when Arteta walked in the door, smash the like button because that's the best way. From when Arteta walked in the door to where we are now in terms of how we play the squad, the players, etc. That is great. It's now time to say, all right, we've arrived now. It's not that the journey is irrelevant, but we kind of erase that and we kind of count it from last season or even the season we was fighting. I would say personally, the season we lost out to Spurs for top 4 to now, that's where we're starting to be a bit harsher and be a bit more demanding on fine margins, have a bit less patience for certain players with their frailties, kind of bored at the same running story. Obviously, injuries can affect everyone, but we've seen this movie several times at Arsenal, you know, and we're doing the same things again. Like, oh, yeah, if and when Tomiyasu and Partey are fit, that's great. But there needs to, same way you signed Declan Rice off his own back, but to a degree, Partey is irrelevant because we've got a physical man in Declan Rice. That's what we need. I love Tomiyasu. He would have played yesterday. I don't think he goes out like Zinchenko in the last 2 games. Unfortunately, for all the praise I've got for Tomiyasu, what is one thing you think of when I say the name Tomiyasu? It's injury, Partey, injury. And last season, he was fit for 40 games, Partey. Even Kieran Tierney, injuries. Another one who was fit in his last season. We've seen this before. It's boring, man. It's boring. Are you ready to have Martinelli convo? I know he got double figures last year. I'm not ready to have no convo. Martinelli, the star boy. You know, tough times never last, and that it is what it is. This won't break him, but he does need to start scoring. And if we had a Pedro Neto or something like that, might have to old bench. But this is what I mean about the squad, because obviously Trossard's had to play all about the place in the last few games, but Trossard's not doing the madness. Martinelli's not doing the madness. Saka's not doing the madness, but you definitely need to play. If you're dropping out Martinelli, who are you playing? Jesus out wide, and then maybe Eddie. Smith Rowe could get a look in, but you're not rated right now. Nelson, you're not really rated like that. You only come on in low-key affairs or games where we have to make rotations, or like you saw with Bournemouth last year and to a degree now, when we're out of ideas kind of thing. Like, yo, we're going to live or die by fine margins. We're going to live or die by, sometimes I think we make games harder than it needs to be, whether we've won or lost. And I think we're going to live or die by squad depth. And in some case, as I said, I'm being harsh, just looking at us for winning titles. Some players just not having it to task. You know, Jesus and Zinchenko, you've gone the distance for City. But they were guys that, you know, they would, out of the 38 games, there might be 5-10 games where them two players, or along with a couple of players that were kind of rotation options, they might nick 3 points for City. They might make the difference. But 38 games, they weren't the guys. I think Zinchenko, I still would keep you in the squad and utilize you. But you see, when you get to these Christmas fixtures and you're playing West Ham and Liverpool and these things, I don't want to Chelsea even away where you didn't make a mistake. But that's one that stands out to me because you had to get hooked at 45 minutes. I don't want to see you. Jesus, you're a brilliant player. You could listen, if a new striker comes in, naturally there's less game time for Jesus or someone else. Jesus would play plenty for me. But we need to just allow you to be you. You do that Gabriel Jesus stuff. If you score, it's a bonus. You know, we tried to bring you here and say, you know what, platform to play up front. You fit the system of what the modern day demands from a striker. Maybe with a platform, you'll score goals, but you don't have shooting boots. Why do strikers not bang under Arteta? Is he overcoaching the players? Bit harsh, you know, Bamian did all right, but I don't know, man. I don't know. What lethal dons have we had? I'm not convinced that we'll win the league. We need a striker coach. We've got quality. We need a coach, man. We're not doing anything with that front line. We need a Saka, Martinelli convo urgently. They are just median. If Martinelli can't run while looking up, then bench him for him to switch on. Nah, man, my star boys. Don't bread when they're back. You know, world-class striker is 90 million upwards. What we have to sell won't raise that unless Smith Rowe goes. And that's the thing in January. I'm not even a fan of selling everybody. Like, in general, if I go around that Arsenal squad, smash the like button, people, and I thought about players that I might sit here and go, you know what, I'm kind of open to selling in general. And some I'd want to keep more than others. With a hefty heart, Smith Rowe. With a hefty heart, Aaron Ramsdale. Not as hefty, but Eddie's Michaeli, Eddie Nketiah, Jorginho, El Nene. Don't really want to sell you, but I understand why. Thomas Partey, you know. If other people are brought in, I'd be open to... I don't want to sell Kirill, but I'd be open to offers. Fabio Vieira, I like you and I wouldn't sell you, but if someone's going to give us 30 million quid back or something like that, we might just have to bite the bullet and keep it moving. So that's decent players who, together, they could bring in a decent fund, a decent kind of collective fund to be put in a transfer. But realistically, you're not going to do that in January. You can't do that in January. And we'll be tearing up the squad. That's more of a summer thing. So we're going to have to be creative. I don't know if you're going to utilize the loan market. I don't know what you're going to do. I'm happy I'm not Edu. You need to find a way to make something happen. Sell Partey for 10 to 20, get Douglas or a creative deep line playmaker. I'm not going to lie. I'll sell Partey cut price in the summer. No point letting him go in January for 10 to 20. Our fullbacks are weak as hell. These men always get beat or leave gaps. We already know Gabriel Saliba Rice is on defending. The rest of the squad are mad lapses. I must admit, I like Zinchenko. I like Timber when fit. I like Tomiyasu. I like Benjamin White. And a couple of them names I said there are irrelevant. But I must admit, I think we need more from our fullbacks. I really do. I think we need more from our fullbacks. With Zinchenko, I'm not seeing that inverted stuff that you're doing. Ben White, I like Ben White, actually. I really do. I think you could be used in the squad, but you don't really you do overlap and you try a thing, but you never really believe that he's going to make something happen there per se. He doesn't really invert beyond obviously becoming a third centre back, but he's not really got the guile in there. I think we need more from our fullbacks. Now, I don't want to praise them lot down the road, and they probably rely on their fullbacks a lot more because they have less creative quality or attacking quality in other places, but their fullbacks are doing the madness. The only guys that are worse fullbacks performing in this last game than us is United. Like, I'm not being funny, but all the issues Ten Hag's done. Why the hell is Wan-Bissaka inverting? That was horrible. Our issue with scoring is putting our defense under pressure. We do have a good defense, Barzini. I hear that, but everybody's got a mistake in them. Gabriel's don't really happen, but he's got a mistake. Saliba's got a mistake. White's got a mistake. Zinni, 100,000,000% mistakes. Tomiyasu drops clangers on occasion. Timber, no doubt, will have them. So everybody has faults, really. I do agree that if Tomiyasu or Timber are in, these things don't happen, but we can't move like they're the messiahs. Saka and Martinelli are still early on in their careers. They'll bounce back. In my opinion, there should be more emphasis to put more balls through to them in dangerous areas. That's something that I think's gone. Like last season, it's more Saka as well. Like you're running in behind, like you're running onto the ball where you either, you approach the box with your right foot or you cut in and use your left. There's only so many times that, players are going to drop deep and they, Saka's a great player, but how many times is he going to drop deep? You've got several players around you. How many times are you going to turn them all? And that was annoying me. I don't think we really put Ogbonna under pressure, Kofau under pressure, their left back under pressure. I don't really feel we stretched West Ham. I think they were very rigid. Again, very well coached side, very good on the transition, a good team, but still, man. Yesterday was so apparent we needed a striker. Sitting in the North Bank yesterday and watching Odegaard get the ball with 0 direct pass options. So obsessed with wide now, with mid wing backs. To be fair, I'm being a bit harsh. Football's harsh. I'm being a bit harsh on Gabriel Jesus. But there was a header. I think Odegaard delivered. I'm like, them half chances there is why we need a striker. I'm asking the impossible. But them kind of things, if you could just get a goal out of nothing, this is what changes things. Tony's not making us better. We need a channel runner, a greedy guy. Tony will just turn into Lacazette. I hear it. But a bit harsh, man. We don't have the personnel. We don't have the personnel for the last years, and teams have adapted. Boy, I've always liked Zinchenko, and he definitely was not the issue yesterday. I beg someone check his Bet365 account. Pretty sure Bowen bagged more than our entire front three this season. That's a scary stat. Just shows you what happens when man are not on this play thing. Use Eddie as our main man instead of Jesus. Fair enough. Big up Eddie. Nah. I feel like guys are letting Saka off the hook. He's been poor, but they only look at Nelly. They've both been rubbish, but they're my guys, man. Cash in on Ramsdale and Eddie and bring in Zubimendi and Tony on loan for 6 months with buying the summer. It's true, but I mean, I'm not really on selling Ramsdale in January, if I'm honest with you. If we found that number 2 that's steady and we can move forward, great, but I'm not really on it, if I'm honest with you. I'm certain Tommy and Timber would be in the starting 11, Zinni and Benny benched. I hear that. I'm here for trying Havertz down the middle with Saka and Jesus. Nah, not for me. You know what, Havertz, you've just found your feet in that left 8. Stay in that left 8. Pedro Neto, injury prone, Elise 2. I will still take Neto, man. Move Smith Rowe left wing. It's looking like that again, man. It's looking like that again. At this point, I know Waters would have a lot to adapt if he's playing Premier League football, but at this point, might as well just play the young fullback. There's hella interesting striker options. Osimhen, Tony, Watkins, Jimenez, Sesko. The thing is, though, Jimenez going to cost big bread. Sesko going to cost big bread. Tony going to cost a decent amount. Osimhen, if you ain't got 100 odd million or whatever they're saying, you can forget about that. I know the club won't show us, but I'm curious to see what, if any, impact the new technical assistant is doing with the attackers. Big up DG, 30 shots yesterday. Honestly, we need just a different profile striker and a rotational defender. Tommy, Timber, Partey back for the second half of the season. We don't have to rely on Zinni as much. I hear you, criminal balls. That's a mad thing. Pause. Blues. Yeah, you lot can get on to me for that one. But that's what you're not wrong. You're not wrong. It makes sense, but at the same time, with the exception of Timber, because he got a big injury. Tommy and Partey, I like them, but we've seen this theme, innit? You keep hearing me say, accept people for what they are. Try our best to get Jesus to score goals, to get Zinchenko to switch on defensively, to, the players that are injury prone to get over that. But if they don't, I'm not saying you need to sell them. Just make sure they're not even a thing, really. Ramsdale goes Newcastle, I think, in January if the deal's right, and that'll be all we spend in the window. Hope not, man. Fullback is a huge issue. I feel like we commit at the wrong times and just slow the game down at times. I hear that. Ben White needs to be more courageous and take on players. Kyrgios ahead of Zinni. I hear it, man. I'd love Paqueta, but forget about that, man. Forget about that. If you remember Bowen's goal against United, we need that type of off-the-ball movement, which we don't have. Eddie, no, Binim, he ain't good enough. Our fan base needs to stop this sentimentality. Could us all over your players yesterday. There you have it. Some YouTube Arsenal content providers like saying that Arsenal doesn't have the money to buy Tony in January, as if it's their money the club will use. I've never said that. I can only speak for myself, man. We've seen this over and over again, man. How many times are we going to watch this? How many times would you watch the same movie? Think of your favorite movie. How much times would you watch the same movie and expect a different ending? You'd be an idiot, innit? A mistake made more than once is a choice, they say in life. Now, I'm not saying Arsenal are choosing to not get injuries and choosing to get injuries and all these things, but we're not learning from the past. We're not learning from our mistakes, game to game and season on season. We're not learning from other teams, just like with Jesus and Zinchenko. Obviously, a lot of them City players that aren't starting 11, they'll go and start at other clubs, as we've seen. But Jesus and Zinchenko were not main guys like that. They were good facilitators. They were part of the squad. They were valued squad members, but they weren't main guys. So why rock them up over here and make them the main guys? Or if they're not going to be if they're going to be the main guys, make sure that, you know, whatever Liverpool do with Trent, the positives outweigh the negatives. Or with Jesus, other men are bagging. So it doesn't really, obviously, you still need to score goals, but it doesn't really matter. Jesus and Havertz together up front will cook. I hear it, man. I cannot blame our manager this season. I cannot think of a game in which we're outplayed by the opposition. VAR has done us dirty twice on the goal line tech. I mean, indirectly, everything's the manager's fault, but I agree. There's not really, and again, off the top of my head, obviously Arteta's made mistakes. There's not really been a game where I thought, Gaffer, you've kind of shanked that. If I'm honest with you, it's more the players. But we can't big up the team when we win. Big up Arteta and the team when we win, and when we lose, it's only the players. We're in this together. I do agree generally, though. Man said Tommy, Partey, Timber are unicorn level myths at this point. Forget them. Harsh, man. Can't believe that 11-man kicking the ball got me vexed on a Friday for no reason. If you can't sign European players, then look for players in South America and Asia. It can, but the only thing against that is probably work permits. In Jan, I think they can spend minimum 150 million, which is enough for a decent striker in box to box, hopefully. When playing low blocks, you need to score from outside the 18 area. This is how City win games. Arsenal want to score in the 18 area. I think when we do kind of throw the kitchen sink, nobody's in the box, and we don't have that clinicalness, in my opinion. And again, I'm not saying get rid of it. I like the fact that we're patient. We can't go forward, we'll go back. Can't go down the left, go down the right. I want that to stay, but it's about balance. Sometimes I would like us to see someone shoot from 30 yards, turn on the pressure cooker a bit. You know, I do admire the way all teams actually win, lose, draw, whatever the circumstances, you're playing the same way, but there's adaptability. DG, when Tommy, Timber, and Partey are back, who is your 11? Obviously, form could dictate, but smash the like button. But again, assuming everybody in this team is fit, Raya or Ramsdale's a bit of a toss-up. Sorry, Ramsdale, but recency bias, I'll go with Raya. Timber left back. You know what? Tomiyasu left back. Timber right back. I think you and Saka can do a thing, if I'm honest. Timber right back. Tomiyasu left back. Centre halves, obviously, Gabriel and Saliba. In midfield, I don't feel like dropping Kai Havertz now, but, you know, I do want to see Odegaard, Partey, and Declan Rice. I do want to see that in midfield. So what I've said, Raya, Timber right back, Tomiyasu left back. They can even rotate in the games. Gabriel and Saliba, the centre halves, Partey, Rice, and Odegaard in midfield. Obviously, Saka, Martinelli, and Jesus up front. Arsenal still use scouts. They've got every club, right? Surely. Big up the Ghanaian Gooner. The issue is with the manager. Someone has to be ruthless and get the checkbook out this time. We brought strikers in January in previous seasons. We need a striker. It's true. And that's one thing I would say with Arteta. I do think you've got the Wenger thing about you, and that I do think you've shown elements. You can be cruel, you know. And nobody saw Xhaka getting rubbed out. Nobody saw Raya coming in with Aaron Ramsdale. Nobody saw Tierney's demise. And probably a couple of other examples. And I'm not getting at these players, but I think your insistence on Zinchenko in terms of him being a regular, I think to a degree, Jesus. I think, you know, not addressing midfield and relying on El Nene and Jorginho if something happens there. It's these kind of things that are going to cost us. Eddie Nketiah as well. I like him. He's improved and whatnot. But at the end of the day, we've got to be cruel to them players, to be kind to ourselves. Some players, the players that helped us kind of rebuild this football club, might not be the players that helped us get top four. The players that helped us get top four might not be the players that help us, you know, fight for a league. The players that helped us fight for a league might not be the players that can get us a league title. The players who one day got, by God's grace, that helped us get a league title, they might not be the general players. Some of them might not be able to be there if we're trying to retain a Premier League title and aspire for the Champions League. Arteta knows this and he's done this. But yeah, 77 touches, madness, man. And Areola not making saves. As I said yesterday, it's a lot of foreplay and no penetration. Which, cool, you're there, you're in and around the box, but you clarting or not. Arsenal on the lookout for a defender in January transfer window. They are likely to prioritize a loan deal due to FFP rules. That says people, as you can see there, Mikel Arteta said, we have certain targets and ideas if things happen. We don't know how the squad is going to be, and you have to be prepared for that. It's a very tricky market that shifts very quickly, and it's quite unpredictable as well. We'll be prepared and try to make the right calls. If there's something that we can improve the squad and need something that we can't fulfill with players here, then we're always going to be open to doing that because we want to be stronger. By God's grace, man, by God's grace, really. And Jesus, I don't know how you didn't back there, but you didn't back there, my guy, man, which is a shame. Arsenal missed all 5 big chances created against West Ham, which, again, Creating is one thing, putting the ball in the back of the net is another. Our top goal scorers in the Premier League with 19 games played. Saka and Nketiah are on 5. Eddie's on the peripheral. Kai Havertz scored 4. Odegaard 4. Jesus 3. Declan Rice, not known for goals, 3. Trossard, who's been a super sub, 3. Martinelli 2. It's unacceptable, bro. We're not gonna do what we need to do in that regards, people. We had 77 touches in the box. Most on record since 08-09 in a single Premier League game in which your teams failed to score. Again, a lot of foreplay. Are you clarting or what? It's as simple as that, man. It's as simple as that. Like, we're not doing what needs to be done. London derbies at home. We drew against Fulham. We drew against Spurs. We lost against West Ham. Our next home game is against Crystal Palace. We probably want revenge. Shout out to David Moyes. He earned his first away win against Arsenal. Fair enough, Arteta. I do have a bit of an agenda because we seem to always mess about when we play David Moyes. You know, maybe he's on to you for that. Arsenal have only kept 2 clean sheets in our last 11 Premier League games against West Ham. So it is what it is, people, as you lot can see in front of me. Despite the narrative that West Ham only had 3 chances last night, the XG conceded was the second highest Arsenal have faced in the Premier League this season after Spurs at home. I'm not one for all this XG crap, but that tells you that there's something there. 11 teams have scored more Premier League goals from open play than Arsenal. So we can say, oh, yeah, we got 20, 30 odd goals. We're doing all right. And we're spreading the goals around. But the goal scorers are not scoring on a consistent basis. And we're not creating. No matter what you say, you know, if I just say some random managers to you, Carlo Ancelotti, Arsene Wenger, Conte, Pep Guardiola, Arteta, Jurgen Klopp, Eric Ten Hag, who else is there? Just insert any manager. They've all got different philosophies and how they want to play, and what's the most important to one might be the least important. And they all judge Jose Mourinho football on different sort of stuff. But fundamentally, football's a simple game. Keep the balls at the back of your net. Put the ball in the back of your opponents. We haven't been effective at that. That's why we're in what we're in. It is what it is. All we can do is go again. Don't end the year on a killer. We've got Fulham. Just try to win. Yesterday was why futsal players don't make elite teams. Oh, man. I swear there's a correlation that whenever it rains, we have a high probability of screwing up. When it rains, it pours for real. Yeah, I ain't trying to hear the XG thing, man. 81 shots, 3 goals in 4 games. Arteta was clueless yesterday. He brought in players he doesn't play. Why not allow Gabriel, the defender, to camp in the box so that he scores headers? I hear that. Liverpool will end as 3rd. Oh, no, man. I don't look at the league table personally. We just need to keep going. I'm just enjoying being here, man. Like, it's frustrating. All we can do is go again. There isn't too much to do, people. I've got a couple of meetings, so I actually have to end this very shortly. But again, you know, check out my reviews. Appreciative for you lot sharing your opinions, talking, all of that good stuff. Check out the previous vids. Go and check out the video I did with Dan Potts. Obviously, I think we kick off on Sunday, Fulham away. I think it's 2 p.m, so I'll be live from 1 p.m. And make sure you're subscribing and your notification bells are on because you know the videos are always out. So yeah, man, hope you all had a great Christmas or Christmas period. Happy New Year in advance. Thank you very much for rocking with the guy. The journey to 70k subs keeps going, man, and big up you lot in that, man. I failed you lot this year. I ain't trying to fail you lot in 2024. So yeah, you lot stay safe, stay blessed, smash the like button, big up the Twitch gang as well. Peace. I mean, there's all this talk about Zinchenko. I know, and somebody said you need to shoot from outside the area against low blocks. I know one chocolate, amazing looking content creator / Sunday League footballer who may have done such.
Against this right back, Charlie.
There's always just that active red line. Defenders have been given like.